This is about you. This is about what you didn't do. It's about what I did. And you know what? I did a fucking great job. They did it all, no thanks to you, because you weren't here.
And I appreciate that, Fiona, but I'm here now, and Liam belongs with me.
He doesn't even know who you are.
I'm his mother.
You are my mother, too.
Look, we need to talk about Fiona Gallagher. If you've watched Shameless, you know the drill. You probably started the show absolutely worshipping the ground she walked on. She was the warrior, the saint of the South Side, the girl who could stretch $20 into a week's worth of groceries and a bribe for the electric company. But then, somewhere around season 4 or 5, the comments section started to change. Fiona is so annoying. Fiona is a hypocrite. Why can't she just stop ruining her own life? But here's the thing. Fiona didn't just wake up one day and decide to be a disaster. Her downfall wasn't a writing flaw, it was a psychological inevitability. She spent her entire life being the glue holding a family of 8 together. But what happens to the glue when the pieces start to fix themselves? Fiona Gallagher is a masterclass in what happens when a child is forced to be a parent, and how that trauma creates a chaos-shaped hole in a person's brain. Today, we're peeling back the layers on the daughter who raised her parents, and why, for Fiona, stability was the most terrifying thing in the world. Chapter 1. Parentification and the unchildhood. Let's really look at the math here. By the time the show starts, Fiona is 21. She's been the primary caregiver since she was 9. That means for over a decade, she hasn't just been the big sister, she's been the emotional and logistical container for 5 other human beings. In psychology, this is called parentification, and it's a specific kind of trauma that leaves a permanent scar. When a child is forced to provide the support that a parent should be giving, they develop this hyper-competency. Fiona is a black belt in reality. She knows how to talk a landlord out of an eviction. She knows how to bargain at a pawn shop. She knows exactly how many hours Lip needs to study to get that scholarship. But there's a dark side to being a child savior. Because she was forced to be an adult so early, Fiona never developed a sense of self that wasn't tied to a chore list. She doesn't know what she likes, what her hobbies are, or who she is when the house isn't on fire. Her entire worth is wrapped up in being the only one who cares. This is why she struggles so much when her siblings start to assert their independence. When Debbie starts acting out, or Lip tries to handle things his own way, it's not just a sibling squabble to Fiona, it's an identity crisis. If she's not the one holding the Gallagher family together, then who is she? Without the burden, she's just an empty vessel. And as we'll see later, that emptiness is exactly what she tries to fill with all the wrong things. Chapter 2. The High of the Hustle. If you live on the South Side, survival isn't just a goal, it's a sport. And in the early seasons, Fiona Gallagher was an all-timer. There's a specific kind of electricity in those early episodes. We see Fiona working 3 jobs at once, cleaning toilets, waitressing, telemarketing, and she does it with this frantic, beautiful energy. This is the Gallagher Drug. For Fiona, crisis is her natural element. Her brain is literally wired to thrive on adrenaline. When the gas gets shut off, Fiona doesn't crumble. She gets a gleam in her eye. She's a tactical genius in a war zone. We, as the audience, cheered for her because we saw a girl who refused to let the world win. She was the hero because she was the only one with a plan. But here's the trap. When you spend your life addicted to the hustle, you lose the ability to exist in the quiet. Fiona is a master of hypervigilance. She's always waiting for the next punch to land, which makes her incredible at dodging it. But it also means that peace feels like a lie. To a Gallagher, if things are going well, it just means you haven't found out what's wrong yet. The hustle was her armor, but eventually that armor became so heavy that she couldn't move forward without a battle to fight. She wasn't just working to live, she was working to avoid looking in the mirror. Chapter 3. The Comfort of Chaos. The Sabotage. This brings us to the moment where the Fiona Stan Club usually starts to lose members, the sabotage. Let's talk about Mike Pratt. He was the literal dream. He was stable, he had a 401k, he had a nice family, and most importantly, he actually treated Fiona like a person instead of a servant. For a few episodes, it looked like Fiona had finally caught a break. She had a real office job and a real boyfriend. And then came Robbie. Robbie was Mike's brother, a chaotic, drug-addicted, walking red flag. And Fiona fumbled the bag in the most spectacular way possible by sleeping with Robbie. Why? Was she bored? Maybe. But the deeper truth is that Mike represented a world Fiona didn't think she belonged in. Walking into that corporate office every day felt like wearing a costume that was 2 sizes too small. She felt like a poser. Robbie, on the other hand, felt like home. He was a disaster, he was dangerous, and he was familiar. By sleeping with Robbie, Fiona wasn't just cheating, she was performing an act of self-exorcism. She was blowing up the good life because the pressure of being normal was more terrifying than the reality of being trash. It's a classic cycle. Every time Fiona starts to climb out of the hole, she gets a weird kind of vertigo. She looks at the sunshine and the stability, gets scared, and throws herself back into the dirt because the dirt is the only thing that's never lied to her. She didn't sabotage her life because she was a bad person. She did it because in her mind, the wreckage was the only place she was allowed to exist.
You don't know anything about your mother.
She was never here.
She was a beautiful, crazy, fragile, wonderful woman.
She deserted us.
She loved us.
That was love?
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay, then why did she leave?
You don't know what you're talking
If
about.
she loved us so much, why wasn't she here?
She tried. She
wasn't here.
tried.
She was never f***ing here. She left. I was 9. 9 and taking care of you. Taking care of all of us.
Chapter 4. The Myth of the Martyr Complex. One of the most frustrating things about being a Fiona fan is watching the world and the fans hold her to a standard that no other Gallagher has to meet. Let's talk about the Martyr Complex. By the middle seasons, you start hearing it from Lip, from Debbie, and definitely from the comment sections. Fiona just wants to be the hero. She loves acting like she's the only one who does anything. But here is the reality. She was the only one doing anything for over a decade. When you spend your entire formative existence being the only person standing between your siblings and a foster home, martyrdom isn't a personality trait, it's a job requirement. The tragedy of Fiona is the double standard. When Lip messes up his full ride to MIT because he can't stop being a South Side hothead, we call it a tragedy of potential. When Frank steals the kid's birthday money, we laugh because that's just Frank. But when Fiona takes 5 minutes to try and have a life of her own, or worse, when she demands that her siblings finally grow up and contribute, she's labeled as selfish. She was trapped in a cycle where her family only valued her when she was suffering for them. The moment she tried to set a boundary or invest in herself, the savior mask was used as a muzzle. She didn't have a martyr complex. She had a family that refused to let her be anything else. Chapter 5. The Falling Pillar. Liam's Incident. Every tower has a breaking point, and for Fiona, that was season 4, the cocaine incident with Liam. It is, without a doubt, the hardest moment in the show to watch. Your baby brother, the one you fought so hard to keep, nearly dies because you left a bag of coke on the kitchen table during a bender. People use this moment to write Fiona off forever. But if we're being real, this was the pillar finally snapping under the weight of the roof. This wasn't just a party mistake. It was the psychological result of someone who had been on for 15 years finally having a total system failure. But what's even more brutal than the mistake itself is the family's reaction, specifically Lip's. Watching Lip, who Fiona raised, treat her like a common criminal was the ultimate betrayal. It was the moment Fiona realized that all those years of sacrifice didn't actually buy her any grace. She was allowed to be the savior, but she wasn't allowed to be human. When the safety net of the family finally fell, there was no one there to catch her. This wasn't just a legal downfall, it was the death of Fiona's belief that her family would ever love her as much as they needed her. Chapter 6. The Exit Strategy: Survival versus Living. By season 9, Fiona is a ghost of herself. She's lost her apartment building, she's lost her business ventures, and she's back to the drinking and the spiral. But there's a moment toward the end where the fog clears. She looks at the house, she looks at the kids, who are now mostly adults, and she realizes the contract is over. Her departure wasn't a running away, it was an eviction from a role that no longer existed. She realized that as long as she stayed in that house, she would always be the 9-year-old girl checking pulses. She had to leave the South Side not because she hated it, but because she had already given it everything she had. That final $100,000 check she leaves for the family, that was her resignation letter. It was her saying, I've paid my debt. I raised the parents, I raised the kids, and now I'm taking the girl. For the first time in her life, Fiona chose living over survival. It was messy, it was abrupt, and it was the only way she was ever going to survive herself. Chapter 7. The Ghost of the House. Post-Fiona Shameless. Let's be honest, Shameless without Fiona felt like a different show, and not necessarily a better one. When Emmy Rossum left, the show lost its gravity. You really see it in seasons 10 and 11. The family starts to drift. The plots get more sitcom-y and less grounded. Without Fiona there to be the adult, the other characters didn't necessarily grow up. They just became caricatures. You realize that Fiona wasn't just a character, she was the stakes. We cared if the lights stayed on because she cared. We cared if the kids stayed out of jail because she was the one who would have to go get them. When she left, the house felt hollow. It proved what we suspected all along. Frank might have been the name on the mailbox, but Fiona was the foundation. Without her, the Gallaghers weren't a unit anymore. They were just people who happened to live in the same building. Conclusion: the imperfect saint. So who is Fiona Gallagher? Is she a hero, a victim, a self-sabotaging mess? The truth is, she's all of them. Fiona is the ultimate portrait of the imperfect survivor. She's the girl who saved everyone but forgot to save a seat for herself. We judge her because she's human. We get mad at her mistakes because we want her to be the hero she never asked to be. But Fiona's story isn't a fairy tale about a girl who made it out. It's a gritty, honest look at the cost of being the only adult in the room. Fiona Gallagher didn't just raise her parents, she raised a generation of viewers to understand that you can be the glue and still fall apart. She left Chicago with a suitcase and a second chance, and whether she broke the cycle or just moved it to a new zip code, she did the one thing no one thought she could do. She put Fiona first. And honestly, after 9 seasons of that mess, it was about damn time. That's the saga of Fiona Gallagher, the girl who tried to carry the world on her shoulders and only dropped it when the weight became physically impossible to bear. She was the hero we wanted, but the mess we actually needed. But I want to hear from you. We've all got our Fiona moment, that one decision she made where you either stood up and cheered or threw your remote at the TV. At what point did you stop rooting for her? Or were you, like me, sticking it out through every bad boyfriend and every legal spiral, just waiting for her to finally catch a break? Drop a comment below and let's argue about it. Was she the saint of the South Side or just another Gallagher destined to blow it up? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the wreckage of the Gallagher house, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe. We're going to be peeling back the layers on more characters who are beautifully broken very soon. Until next time, keep your head up, your spirits high, and for the love of everything, if you see a bag of suspicious white powder on the kitchen table, just walk away. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.